Hello and welcome to Powerful Partnerships Are Easier Than You Think. My name is Sam Rundle. I am the Programming and Collections Supervisor at the Hastings Public Library in Hastings, Nebraska. One thing that brings me here this year is I was fortunate to have my first article published in the January-February edition of Public Online Magazine titled Powerful Partnerships Are Easier Than You Think. Another reason I'm here is because I really do enjoy reaching out and making community connections to see if we can't enhance what we offer at the library.
And I am Taylor Crawford. I'm currently the Outreach Programming Assistant at the Hastings Public Library. I've worked at the library for 6 years, but I've been doing outreach the whole time, so I'll hand it back to Sam.
All right, have you ever gone on a trip without a GPS? How did that turn out? Did you maybe take a few wrong turns, not know where you were going, or ended up spending more time and money than you had anticipated? The same can be true when planning programs all by yourself. We did not have a map, but we have learned a few things over the last couple years that we do want to share with you. And we want to also teach that forming partnerships is easier than you think, but it can also improve your programming. Today we will share how we began building partnerships, the benefits of collaboration, how to create your own partnerships, and then we'll talk about the partnerships we have and the impact they've made. And I'll start by saying you do not need to have a grant to form partnerships. That's just our story and how we started. Back in December of 2021, we applied for the American Rescue Plan Humanities Grant for Public Libraries, and we were awarded $10,000 for some kind of humanities programming. So our goal at that time was to try to figure out some programming that would actually bring patrons back to the library. This was, of course, post-COVID. So what we did was we went to work and created a 12-speaker series. We had to do, of course, research as far as what do our patrons want? What would they be interested in learning? So we focused on music, Nebraska culture, and history. And after just a few presentations, we knew it was a grand slam of a program just because of the attendance. And in 2022, the highest attendance we had at just one program was 67 patrons, so that was amazing. About halfway through 2022, one of the gals that comes to the programs regularly came up, introduced herself, and said she is a member of the local volunteer chapter of AARP. She said I needed to contact their state representative because they have money, and they also like to sponsor programs like this, which was a wonderful opportunity for me, simply because patrons wanted this program to keep going, but I had no idea how I was going to fund it. So I did. I just reached out to the state representative via email, introduced myself, that I was interested in forming a partnership and possibly getting some financial assistance for a second humanities series. And it was that easy. I just reached out. We touched base for a few weeks, going back and forth as far as the program, logistics, things like that. And then I was able to submit my official financial request for support. But this year we did decide to change the name because it was a different vendor. So we called it Echoes of the Heartland. Still the same thing, a 12-speaker series about humanities. I do remember how excited AARP was that I even considered collaborating with them, and they were very happy to help. One thing I realized at that point was that making that connection with an organization that was trying to make the same connections and have the same impact as us was hitting the nail right on the head. So that was a very valuable lesson for me. Another key piece to this is in 2023 and 2024, the AARP volunteers have been at every presentation. They help set up when they can. They have a table of AARP information and free things to give away, which we know our patrons love free things. And before the seasons even begin, they take the posters that we've made and they hang them around the community, the county, and even surrounding counties. So that is a huge help. They've been a lot of fun and very helpful for us. My experience also with having the Humanities series has been very special because it did breathe new life into our adult programming. I don't have to work as hard planning. We don't have to take the money out of our already tight budget, and it's been so much fun to see the people that come month after month to our programs. And just like we always say, the number doesn't always matter when it comes to proving the quality of a program. But in this case, we feel like it did show it was a quality program. Prior to our speaker series, we had very little in terms of what to offer for adults outside of book club. In 2022, we had 415 patrons attend, 607 in 2023. And in 24, we have 370 participants already, and we still have 5 presentations to go. AARP has already confirmed this month that they would like me to apply for assistance again for next year, so we know we're going to have it again. So the stigma of libraries being just books is something very ingrained into the residents of our communities. Wouldn't you agree with that? So I feel like it is our job to break through that barrier in creative ways and collaborate with others through their work and get outside of what we do at the library. And it's also an exciting prospect to think of how many more people we reach just by utilizing the work of others. This brings me to talking about the benefits of collaboration. Of course, it's important to know what's going on and be involved in your community. But just by having partnerships, you can strengthen the advocacy of the cause that you are working towards. It also amplifies the impact on those you're serving. Collaboration with others also brings a wide array of skills and expertise to what you're working on, because each person has unique strengths, and this can overall enhance the productivity and efficiency of the goal that you're trying to reach. So for us, we had the space, the variety of speakers to choose from, and someone to market the program for us in the event of the Humanities series. AARP had the money, the volunteers, and helped us market. You can also pool your resources. Space is a big one that we have to offer at the Hastings Public Library. Some organizations have fantastic program ideas they can't utilize because they don't have the space. So another really good example of something that we have to offer outside of space is the partnership with the Right Care group here in Hastings. They're another local nonprofit that offers free speech and language services to children and families. They wanted to mimic our story time and hold their own story times here at the library. They used our Every Child Ready to Read format, and we helped them internally advertise just through flyers. This allowed their company a way to offer free services to families through fun and engaging games and stories for the children. The children did not even know they were in there for treatment. They were just enjoying the story time. But families also learned more ways to help their children at home. So for 16 weeks, they held their story times twice a week here at the library on days opposite of when we held our story times. So we invested a little bit of planning and a little bit of marketing, but we got so much out of it. Families were introduced to the library as well as the programs that we have to offer. The organization, Right Care, couldn't have been more appreciative, and they're coming back again this year to do the same thing. Next, collaboration enables teams to address important issues sustainably, because you are not working alone. You have someone there with you. And overall partnerships form long-lasting positive changes, not just for the people involved, but the community that you're serving. And again, this was the case for us when we worked with Right Care, because it gave us the power to indirectly help families that have children that struggle to speak and read. So, of course, we took the opportunity to try to share the importance of early literacy, and it is my hope that these children and families become lifelong lovers of the library. Another positive of forming powerful partnerships is focused on money. And with budgets being a little tight or shrinking these days, it's crucial to share in our resources as much as possible. This way it reduces the overall cost and allows us to do more with less. Nearly all of the partnerships that we do cost us little to no money, minimal staff time, and they allow us to offer services that we typically wouldn't be able to on our own. And Tay will get to that in just a little bit. In the meantime, you will also draw more visibility to your organization, hopefully uplift your reputation if that's needed, give you credibility, and enhance participation. Residents in a community are more likely to draw attention to nonprofits when they're working together. This might encourage them to engage, to donate, attend events, or even volunteer. And another major benefit, of course, is it boosts the chances of you possibly getting a grant if you submit an application. And here is why. You've demonstrated you have good management, you know how to plan, you are capable of using funds in an effective and responsible way, but it also shows that you know how to problem solve to achieve your goals. Funders of grants notice the breadth of the impact because you're reaching a larger number in the community because you have a partner, and it's more sustainable. This is more appealing to the grant committee when comparing applications. And I know when I've talked to local funders about possibly getting grants, the question they ask is, if we give you this money, how will you sustain it from this point forward? They don't want to fund a one and done program. Just something to keep in mind. Okay, now we're getting to the fun part and digging in a little bit deeper. These are the steps that we've learned in building partnerships. First, of course, you have to understand your community. You need to know who is in your community, what they want, what they need. And sometimes this is easy. When we get to know our regular patrons, we can just talk to them, get to know a little bit about them and what they want. But it is harder to figure out what the community at large needs. This is where you do a little bit of research. I have used the U.S. Census Bureau and our local health department for reports and statistics and things like that. You can also think of your local service groups, schools, colleges, and social clubs as a prospect for when you get to the planning stage. Again, focus on what the patrons want. We don't know if you have a citywide or village-wide survey, or if there's something internally that you do to track what your patrons want. But typically, if they're anything like ours, they're telling you, typically, on a day-to-day basis what they want. So also consider what the added value is if you were to partner, which goes into our next step of doing a little bit different kind of research. Again, there's more questions to ask yourself. Are there organizations in your community that serve the same target markets that you do? Do they have similar missions, values, and goals? Or do they already have a program in place that you can join? The ideas don't have to be ours for us to make an impact. If any of the answers for above were yes, or they matched your criteria, check these people out. You can look at other nonprofits in the area. This is a mutual benefit for both of you because they also understand the challenges that they face when trying to meet the needs of people. If you check out for-profit businesses, you'll find that most of them are continuously working on enhancing their social profile. So they may donate funds, donations in kind, or even volunteers. I found that when I reach out to banks, it isn't always an option for them to give money, but they will donate their staff time. Just something to think about. Schools are also an excellent partner because they offer volunteers, the educational resources, and they market to all the kids and all the families. We do annual literacy nights now at the Hastings Public Library. It's been very successful, and schools are even now getting their own grants to cover their costs that we don't cover. And since we've been doing this a few years, all it takes us is a little planning and the space. So that's a no-brainer for us. Community groups are another place to check out when you're thinking of who to talk to. These are local residents that can provide volunteers, community support, and maybe even financial assistance. And even if you leave empty-handed, you have still let them know what the program, what your library has to offer. Okay, now you have to get to the part of reaching out and choosing organizations, right? I personally like to send out an email. You do not have to lay out the entire plan. Just introduce yourself, tell where you're from, and what your goal is. If you have a lengthy email, it's likely you'll lose your reader, right? Give them a few days to go ahead and go over your email and think things through. If they don't respond right away, don't take that as a no. You know how it is, the emails get buried, or sometimes they have it on their to-do list, but it's way down the list. So do follow up after a short amount of time, but do give them a little bit of leeway. You can give them a call or an email. I found that so far organizations need just as much help as we do, and they're just as short on time as we are too. They do also appreciate someone carrying the load with them, right? So naturally it can go a few ways. Either they're interested and want to learn a little bit more about this, or they don't have the time and they're not interested, right? So if they're not interested, just thank them for their time and move on. No harm, no foul. If they are interested, schedule a short meeting with them. Go to them if you can to start laying the groundwork. It's not going to be a one and done process, but it will get things going. Okay, and now we're going to the planning process, and these are some things to remember. Play to each organization's strengths. What are you going to bring to the table? Make sure you know what you're going to bring along with you. Then you can identify the roles and responsibilities for everyone and create clear outlines of tasks and expectations for everyone. It's also crucial to continue having frequent communication to make sure everything is going as planned. One meeting will not just do the trick. And most importantly, don't forget to have fun. I can speak for us, but I can't speak for them, but I would assume that they love what they do and enjoy helping people, so it should be fun. Up until now, we have not had a formal partnership agreement for our long-lasting relationships, but we are considering making one. If you guys are interested in doing so, of course, that's a conversation between your director and your library. So now comes the really fun part, at least I think so, is putting everything into action. After all of the behind-the-scenes planning and work is complete, it's so rewarding to see how things turn out. You'll have lots of aha moments, things will pop up that nobody anticipated, but there will be lots of successes too. And just as in everything in life, we learn as we go. But it's nice to have someone to work along with. The important element of work at this point is your continued communication. You have to visit with one another to see how things are going through the project. But by doing so, you're also strengthening the relationship you're working to build. And lastly, it's important to evaluate the progress of your partnership. You'll have to decide the best way to do this just simply because our libraries, our demographics, everything is so different. With AARP, I simply check in with them each month. This allows me to get to know the volunteers, but it also lets them share their opinions of how things are going, and it gives me a good indication of what they're sharing with their state representative when they report to her. It also gives them the opportunity to tell us what we did well. Are there things we need to improve on? We also don't have a formal evaluation process, but again, I predict we will need one because we do have a long list of partnerships, and it's easier when everything is just simply written down and clearly outlined. And with that, we will move on to talking about community partners and the community impact, and Tay gets to do that.
Right, yeah, so I'm going to talk about the partnerships that we have and the impact on the community overall. So one of our biggest partners is the City Parks and Rec Department. So I'm going to talk about 5 main events that we do with them. First off, in March, we did a Mario Day. So we did a life-size Mario Party game at our community center. We had library staff, Parks and Rec staff, and even some friends of the Parks and Rec staff all dressed up as Nintendo characters. So there was great photo opportunities, and then they kind of help keep the kids on track. Another character event that they do every year is Star Wars Day in May. So this year they chose to do activities and movies in the park. So there were stations set up all around the park. Each station was a different organization. So for the library, we did make your own lightsabers with batteries and straws. So we were able to teach them about circuits and electricity. Our local army unit did an obstacle course. We had Star Wars characters walking around, Darth Vader, stormtroopers. We also had a costume contest, and then also spread out throughout the park were some trivia questions. One of my favorite annual events is our Scarecrow contest. So that is any organization in the city, they build a scarecrow. It's usually on display for about 2 weeks, and then the community votes on it through Facebook. And we always do a book-themed one. So in the past, we've done the pigeon. Last year, we did Pete the cat. And then this year, we are building a Frankenstein. So 2 other events that the Parks and Rec Department help us with is our block party, which I'll talk about a lot more later. So they brought a little putting green and helped kids learn how to golf. And then new this summer, we're starting a 9-week camp. So the entire time kids are out of school, we're doing Harry Potter because we know that's popular. And so the Parks and Rec Department will provide the activity-based section, and the library will provide the learning-based section. So for example, if we did a herbology class, the library could teach about plant identification and how plants grow, and then the Parks and Rec Department can teach them about tree rubbings and leaf identification out in our park. And then they will also create things like a Quidditch game and a life-size chess match, just another activity for the kids to do. And then we'll move on to my favorite partnership that we have, because this is my favorite place in our town. So we have an organization called the Prairie Loft Center for Outdoor and Agricultural Learning. And their little motto is they want to honor our area's heritage and future. So there's 2 events that we go every year. They're kind of the same event, just seasonal, Spring Fest and Harvest Fest. So they're both free community events. They've got a big piece of land. There's nature paths, walking trails. We take our bookmobile, and they've got hammocks set up in trees. So we park the bookmobile next to the hammocks. You can get a little book and hang out and read. We bring things like cushions for story times. We have sensory bins that are like rice dyed with Kool-Aid and filled with little critters. We have crafts that are seasonal. And then there's also just like vendors from the city and food trucks and art performances. One year there was a guy doing glass blowing demonstrations. And then we've got our community farmers and our agriculture people who are bringing in like tractors and farm animals and other nature activities. So there's a Spring Fest and a Harvest Fest. They're basically the same thing, just seasonal. And then they also have 2 other events. So Tales on the Trail is in October, and again, it's another event that we just want to get people out into nature, get them doing things. So this is a fun one because everybody gets to dress up in costumes, and families walk their way down their nature path and stop at different sections. You get a little craft and a story time, and everybody's themed. So we've done an artist with like a paint covered apron, and you read a book about nature colors. We're gonna send a princess this year who's gonna do a book about like manners and etiquette. So it's just a fun thing. Station to station, kids get a little activity. And then new this year with Prairie Loft, we created a digital detox day. And that came about because I had a meeting with the leader of Prairie Loft. We sat down. These are the resources I have. How can I help you? And she said, this is what I have. How can we help you? And we decided we wanted an afternoon away from anything technological. So we picked a Sunday afternoon. I brought pretty much anything that wasn't technology related out there. So we had yoga mats that a local studio donated for the day. We brought musical instruments, origami and jewelry supplies. We brought giant play blocks and Legos, our sensory bins. We brought bubbles, Prairie Loft had bubbles, a lot of nature crafts, and then of course those walking paths. So we really just wanted to encourage an afternoon without screen time. And I think it went really great. Hopefully we'll do it again. We'll probably meet in the spring to go over all of that again. And then we'll move on to some other partners that we have. So Trap Downtown is an escape room business that's right across the street from us. And they helped us when I turned our bookmobile into an escape room for our summer reading program. And that was great because we already kind of had an established relationship with the owner of that business because she brings her kids to family events here. She's got 2 young kids, they come to story times, they come to kids programs. So when I mentioned I was doing an escape room, our children's staff member said, hey, I know who exactly you should talk to. So I was able to reach out to her, and we were actually able to meet at the library so she could bring her kids, they could play, and we could talk. And she walked me through how to do an escape room, and it was amazing. They also are one of the people that like to donate prizes for our reading programs, so that's a great way for us to promote other businesses. And then we get to Avani, which is the yoga studio that donated the mats for us. They have also loaned us mats and stuff for programs in the library, and again, they are another donator for our reading prizes. Senior Planet is a new thing that we've got. We were very lucky to be given a grant to provide technology classes to seniors, and our main goal was to teach basic skills and build confidence. So we were able to get a bunch of Chromebooks and mice, and so far we've run 2 very successful classes. We've gotten amazing feedback from it, and we have waiting lists for future classes once we get those scheduled. And Senior Planet is just a great resource in general. Their website has tons of courses, classes, workshops, articles, and they cover the whole gambit of life. They've got stuff for future technology like AI and VR. They've got stuff about current technology, smartphones, iPads, Wi-Fi, things like that. And then they've also got non-technology related resources on there. So wellness classes and fitness classes. So that is available for free to anyone, and it's just a newer resource that we're still learning about. The Zone is an after-school program for middle school kids. So our middle school is kind of on the edge of our town now. So the Zone is set up about 3 blocks from there, and it's on the way that kids walk home mostly. And it's just an area for kids to be safe, drug and alcohol free for an afternoon until their parents get home. They also offer a free dinner program. There's homework tutoring, arts and crafts, and physical games. And so we partner with them. We go there once a month and we do a STEAM-based project. So last month I went and I took our Sphero coding robots and we did some coding and races. We've taken iPads and done Procreate digital art. We brought our Cricut there once and made stickers for water bottles, Legos, stuff like that. It's just an easy way for us to show kids what the library has and for us to directly interact with the kids and see what they want. The Hastings Area Chamber of Commerce helps us a lot with our downtown businesses. Our library is located pretty central in our town, so we kind of branch out around downtown. Every November they do a big celebration of lights, and it's just a holiday event. Businesses stay open late, they have activities and sales. There's a stage set up downtown where song and dance performances are done. Santa is there, there's horse-drawn carriage rides, and the library in the past has sent Mrs. Claus to do stories and crafts. And then the chamber also just helps us connect with downtown businesses. We like to do a lot of scavenger hunts around town, so they help us connect with the businesses that would be willing to help us out, willing for us to put something in their window, and then patrons can walk around and discover all the businesses and then enter for a prize. All right, and we will talk about Kool-Aid Days now. If you didn't know, Kool-Aid was invented in Hastings, Nebraska in 1927. So we have a very big 3-day Kool-Aid celebration. And we also use Kool-Aid a lot in our programming. So with our rice, in our sensory bins, we'll dye it with Kool-Aid, and it's just a fun, interactive thing. We get to have a table at our big fairground event with a bunch of other vendors and organizations. And there's also things like a 5K race, carnival games, boat races. And so the world's largest Kool-Aid stand is there. And this year's theme was Sharkleberry Fun. So I did a children's craft where we made shark tooth necklaces. It's just a great way to show community support. Other big donors we have, Mary Lanning Healthcare is our hospital in town, and they are a major donor and a continuous donor. And they like to know where their money is going, so we like to use their funds for the same thing if we can. We have a program called Build-A-Buddy, which is kind of like Build-A-Bear, and it is a full registration every single time. So we know that that event is popular, and we know Mary Lanning likes to donate, so we kind of partner those up. Perkins Restaurant is a venue for our new evening book club. So this is a place, it's after the library has closed, so if patrons can't make it to the library or don't want to go to the library, it's just another place for us to meet and another way for people to realize that libraries are not just in the library. You can go out into the community. And with our community, our middle school garden is a really big partner with us. One of the teachers at the middle school has a whole garden set up out back with a geodome, and there's Monday night gardening nights where the community can get together. So they were really beneficial for us when we set up our seed library here at our library. Patrons can come get seeds for fruits, vegetables, flowers, and take them home and grow them. And then the middle school garden comes to a lot of our events to promote healthy eating and healthy lifestyles. And right now, next door to our building is a big green space that we're trying to decide what to do with. But in the meantime, the garden, the master gardeners there are keeping everything up to date and pretty. There's some beautiful flowers planted, and they're just helping us keep the appearance good. The Hastings Symphony Orchestra is also a new partnership. We've been trying to lean more towards music and arts style things. So we are allowed to have a table at their concerts to distribute library information. They also donate prizes for our reading programs. And then we've also started a system where we have a limited number of concert tickets that patrons can check out to go to their concerts. So that's a great way to equalize access to those concerts. And whichever staff member goes gets to sneak into the concert and watch it, so that's a good bonus for whoever's there. Catholic Social Services helps us out a lot. So they provide a set number of free lunches per week. It's a sack lunch. It's usually like a sandwich, a fruit, a protein, and we hand them out to patrons, no questions asked. Some weeks we run out by Wednesday, some weeks we run out by Friday. So that's another partnership that we need to be in continuous contact with. We regroup with them monthly, quarterly, because in the summer we could get 50 bags and run out by Tuesday, and in the winter we could get 30 bags and still have them on Friday. So that's another great example of why you need to keep in communication with your partners. Our United Way locally has set up an amazing thing called the Community Impact Network. And that is a group of organizations, not only from our county, but the surrounding counties. And they get together and they determine what resources are needed for our community, how to get those resources to our community, and then how to get those resources to the people that need them. So they meet, they're creating a system, and it's an amazing resource that we're hopefully going to be able to expand upon. Another partnership that likes to provide things for reading programs and events is a British bakery that we have downtown called What the Dickens. So that's always fun to meet with them and do like a little not normal program. The last one on this slide is Primetime. So Primetime is a Humanities Nebraska family Spanish speaking program. We used to help out with them a lot, but we've kind of dialed back, and now we're just the host for the meeting space. So it's less staff member time, but we still are involved in the program. And the main point of that is to encourage families to speak in English, to speak and read in English, and that allows parents and children to bond and to talk about books and to become better book pickers, to determine which books they need. So we will move on to our block party. So this is one of our biggest events of the year. Our summer reading program runs all of June and all of July. So at the end of May, early June, we do a huge kickoff block party. We block the street off. There's a parking lot across from us that we block off. And we get a bunch of partners and organizations to come and just hang out for an afternoon. So library staff will hand out library information, sign up for cards, sign up for the reading program. This is where I turn the bookmobile into an escape room. And then we have this list of amazing partners. So Special Scoops is an ice cream parlor that employs people with special needs or disabilities, and they like to get out in the community. Angus Mickey's and Serrano's Mexican Grill are both food trucks that go to a lot of events, so they're very recognizable. Joyride Pedal Company is a new business in our town, so this was a great way to draw attention to them. Their little party bike drove around the block so everybody could see what was going on. Small Town Famous is kind of a do-it-all store. They've got stuff from like toys and candy, and then they also do t-shirt screen printing. So we have partnered with them in the past to make t-shirts for events. They're also one that will donate prizes. And at our block party, they did face painting for people, which is always a huge hit. Our Parks and Rec department was there with their putting green. Our community theater had a karaoke booth, and our community theater also helps us out during the year for like kids programs. We had a gentleman come and dress up as Elephant from Elephant and Piggy. So he was in the big costume, and we did like a character parade, and the kids loved it, and the theater kids loved it. Our middle school garden is always there promoting healthy lifestyles, telling them about the Monday night gardening nights where the community can come and work on the garden together. Our community music academy was doing ukulele lessons, which is great because we offer ukuleles for checkout. And then Prairie Loft, of course, is there with their nature stuff. Our police department and fire department brought their drones, their robots, ambulances. The fire department was letting kids spray the water hose. Just a fun event to bridge the gap between that, oh, officers are kind of scary. We want kids to feel comfortable with the community members. Our museum helped us out with making bookmarks, and our symphony orchestra also had a table at our events. So we go to your event, you come to our event. It's a great partnership. And our bookmobile. So Nebraska only has 11 bookmobiles, and we are lucky enough to be one of them. So I get to drive the bookmobile all over the county. I go to schools, public and private. I go to early learning centers, daycares, after-school programs, retirement homes and rehab centers. And then not only do I go in Hastings, but I go to the surrounding towns and areas, all the villages, the small towns. And then the bookmobile gets requested for a lot of events. So one of my favorite ones is Touch a Truck, which is where the city gets a bunch of cool machines, semis, bulldozers, utilities trucks, and kids just get to go and explore and honk the horns, turn the sirens on, and just ask questions about the machines that they see in our town. So all of that boils down to three main areas of community impact, or at least what I think the three main areas are. So we have knowledge and learning, we have our social connections, and then we have collaboration and growth. So for that knowledge and learning area, what we really want to do is to provide opportunities for personal and professional development. And by doing this, we're supporting early childhood literacy and lifelong learning, and we're being a hub of information. We really want to keep early childhood literacy on the forefront of our patrons' minds. And by doing this, we're able to bridge the digital gap with access to technology and internet. So we offer technology one-on-one appointments if you need to learn how to use your smartphone or send an email. We have staff available to sit down with you and help you learn that system. Our next area of impact is the social connections. So by increasing our social connections, we are able to break cycles of poverty and ignorance. We're able to challenge systemic inequalities. And with that, we bridge social divides, we reduce isolation, and we offer nourishment, like through our free lunches. We offer a sense of security, a safe place to be during the day. And we also show we care by asking our regular patrons how they are doing, what kind of things we can help them with. And all of this culminates in equal access and equal support to enrich and connect our community. So our last area of impact is the collaboration and the growth that we can get. So sharing visions and goals with different partners means that a diverse group of people are working towards the same goal. And those people are helping us affect positive change. Collaboration also creates a sense of community by providing a space for people to be, offering a network of support, and strengthening bonds of the community. And all of this leads to added job trainings and workshops. It allows for unique programs from different perspectives and creates a more inclusive society. So all of that boils down to the ultimate impact of library partnerships, which is where we build stronger, more resilient communities where all have the opportunity to thrive. We become vibrant, dynamic centers that enrich the community and strengthen the fabric of our community. And we enhance educational opportunities, promote social inclusion, and nurture a shared cultural heritage. And that's the end of my stuff. So does anybody have any questions?
Thank you so much for listening to our presentation, and we hope you build some powerful partnerships of your own.